So, it's been 11 or 12 days since I've had a video out. And I frankly just want to let you guys know, I'm not ghosting you on purpose. Not ghosting, but like, I'm not like quitting or like saying, oh, YouTube's too much for me now. I'm not a quitter, and especially now that I have 3,000 subs. So just so you're aware, that is not because I'm like, oh, I'm getting sick of this. I've been ridiculously busy and still be ridiculously busy with my film stuff. And actually, the documentary is out on YouTube under a page called Sade Film. And that's where you can see all of my film work. So that's what you'll see when I'm not doing my channel, where like there's big gaps or whatever. You can see what I'm doing over there. But I have tons of film stuff to do. So I've been just like on that, it's crazy. We had our whole screening on Saturday, and Saturday's normally when I make my videos. Saturday or Friday evenings, typically. Very few times Sundays, but normally it's Friday evenings or Saturdays when I make videos. And then I did an Andor Season 2 reaction, but I forgot to upload it, and that's past the point of relevancy, so I'm probably not even going to upload that. And then I did a character rank video, but then I went into the whole like, fandom disaster and how, that's a mess. And I was like, I've already talked about this a million times. So I could cut that out, but I don't know, it just feels weird. So I'll probably have to re-record that. So it's just, and this happens. There's multiple videos I record a month that I just don't upload because I don't think they're good. I'm very critical of what I'm saying. And I want to make sure it's clear and it's consistent. But at the same time, it's raw. It's not just a bunch of cut up clips. And the only time I cut is when, like, sometimes my parents will, like, they'll walk in my room to ask me something and I'll cut it. Or, like, when I'm sick, I, like, hack a bunch and, like, that's stupid to keep in a video. So those are the only times I cut. I don't cut, like, what I'm saying out ever. So even when you see those cuts, I'm not even, like, I don't cut a word I say out. That's just, like, my philosophy is, like, I want you guys to hear all my thoughts, and my raw thoughts and my raw emotions. And I think it's stupid to censor yourself too much, and that's what the world wants for you, is to censor yourself, to not talk, whatever. And that I'm doing the complete opposite. So that just kind of explains kind of my cutting situation and why I leave my videos longer, because, like, I feel it's more authentic that way. Of course, if I was doing like a lore video and I'm rambling about a specific thing, that's different, right? Like, that's not me and my thoughts or whatever. But if I'm doing a video where I'm like giving my take on something, I'm gonna let all my thoughts out, in one video. That way I don't have to make several, so it's like sparing me time as well. So I know it's unusual to have a podcast channel like this have like hour-long videos and everything, every video, but it just spares me time and it gets my point across better. And people do watch them, which is really kind of cool to hear. And they enjoy them too. And it's just me talking about Star Wars. It's like the coolest thing. I didn't know that people were so interested in my point of view, but I guess I bring something to the table people don't see a lot, which I guess you could be related to just common sense and caring about the brand. But yeah, so in this video too, so I just wanted to explain that, get that through, but I also wanted to talk about, what the fuck, oh, that's weird. Anyways, I also wanted to talk about George Lucas Star Wars. And I was actually in a debate with a teacher and a friend of mine at school about what makes Star Wars Star Wars? And, you know, this is a very interesting topic, and it's actually not as simple as you think, because you can say George Lucas Star Wars, and I know what that is in my heart. Like, I can feel it, you know, when something is that. I know what it is. And I know on a technical level, too, like, the way you edit, the way the dialogue's written, whatever. But is that necessarily the only way that something is Star Wars? Or can it be kind of messed with a little more and, like, have different things be done with it? Where, like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's interesting. Because, like, Andor at first, you know, I'm like, oh, this is not Star Wars. Right? And then I told my teachers, like, it's a great show, but it's not Star Wars. It's just not Star Wars. And he brought up a really good point. You know, and he's like, well, what makes something Star Wars? And I told him, so he's like, you're never going to have anything different than that one style. And if you don't adapt and change something, you know, with the time, it's just never gonna evolve. You know, and I thought that was interesting. And now, obviously, there's rules to Star Wars, like things you can do with the Force, things you do with lightsabers, things you do with even blasters and the technology and all those rules that are just, those are the most important things to get right. But as far as tone, The Mandalorian is a very different thing. I'd say it feels like George Star Wars a good amount, but like it definitely has this very distinct identity, you know, and it's like, or Andor 2 has this very distinct identity. It doesn't feel like George Star Wars at all, but it has its own identity. And here's the thing that gets weird is, like, it fits in the universe, right? Like, I don't see where, like, Andor, like, dilutes lore. Like, they included the Gorman massacre, which is from Legends, where it's literally explained exactly straight from Legends, where Tarkin lands a cruiser on top of the plaza, killing a bunch of people. That's literally in Andor. And then Andor obviously added the, like, massacre we actually see with the stormtroopers and everything. It's like the second one, right? But, you know, like, they clearly, like, even though Tony Gilroy knows nothing about Star Wars, he's said it and he's proud of that, I guess. But someone in Lucasfilm had to push him to make that stuff happen, because he obviously would not know what the Gorman massacre is, right? And I'm wondering if that's Dave. Like, I'm really wondering if Dave is the one who pushed for that to be in the show, because Tony Gilroy would never know that. If he can't even understand the 6 films, there's no way he's going to know something that deep lore, you know? So it has to be Dave. You know, I really don't think it's anyone else. And Pablo Hidalgo, he wouldn't, like, why, right? Like, I don't think he's A, an asshole, and B, I don't think he'd really care about keeping canon consistent or keeping it consistent with Legends or anything, you know, like any of that crap. I don't think he'd even think twice about that. So I think that possibly could be a little Dave thing in there, which is cool. And, you know, Dave is obviously a very flawed writer and everything, but he does know the story really well. He just needs to understand it better. And, you know, I think that there's a firm difference. There's a stark difference between knowing something and understanding something. I think that there's a huge divide there. And Dave very much knows it. I know he knows it because he worked under George for years. He just needs to understand how to use it, you know, and not, you know, let things slide all the time, which is what he did in Ahsoka, and I could tell, you know, with the whole Force thing and how, like, Sabine learns the Force in, like, 3 episodes, and it's not even, there's no time skip or jump or anything. Like, she's just figures it out over the course of the journey. It's like, what? That is not how that works. Now, if she was like the chosen one or something, then sure, she's going to have enhanced abilities. She's not. She's Sabine Wren. It takes, and George has said this, it takes Force users like forever to learn how to use it if you're not like super sensitive. Like Obi-Wan, he has like barely any midichlorians. So that guy had to work his ass off to get where we saw him in Revenge. You know, like that took tons and tons, like triple the amount of work Anakin had to do. Right? Because Anakin has an insane midichlorian count, so he's more sensitive to the Force than Obi-Wan is at all. Right? And then you take Sabine, and she's even lower on the midichlorian scale. And it's like, well, I don't know. Unless she's like related to Tar Vizsla or something, which she might be, but even then, that wouldn't be that much more than Obi-Wan, if not at all. You know, so it's like, these are the things you have to think about, and they're very basic. It's just simple George things that Dave just didn't think of, and like turned her into some Jedi. And I'm like, what the fuck? Where did this come from, you know? Just so fucking weird. Anyways, my point being is there's all these like topics of debate within Star Wars, and what is George? What is Star Wars? What is not? And to be fully honest with you, it's an answer I'm still processing and figuring out. So, I mean, whatever I say here, you know, this is just what I'm thinking currently. That doesn't mean it's what I'm always going to think. You know, and I think Star Wars is a story about, you know, the light fighting darkness, really dark versus light, you know, and family and hope and redemption and otherworldly and God, what else? I mean, that's really what it is for me, you know, and fun too. You know, it has to be right. With Star Wars, the way George made it is that a 12-year-old could watch it and enjoy it, and a 40-year-old could watch it and enjoy it at the same level and rate. That is what Star Wars was made to be like. However, would a 12-year-old like Andor? Hell no. Hell no. Hell no. There's 45-year-olds who can't sit through that show. Like a 12-year-old, no shot. So automatically that knocks it, you know. And then obviously the most important thing, which I already talked about, which is why I didn't name it, is consistency. You know, it has to be consistent with the rules of the universe. Like, so I think that's looser than I originally thought. Like, you don't need to make your thing 100% the exact same. You don't have to like copy George's style necessarily. You just have to have the theme of light versus dark, have the themes of hope, have the themes of, you know, redemption if that's a part of your story, and have like, I don't know, stuff like that. Like that's ultimately, it has, if you take everything else away, it ultimately has to be a story about light and dark, and it has to be consistent. And that is it. You know, that is your bottom line. And if you knock consistency away, well, then obviously it's not Star Wars, because you're not keeping it within the confines of the universe. And then at that point, it's a fan fiction. You know, so it's like, that's kind of how I look at it. I'm looking at it right now. You know, and I don't think that as a concept, I mean, you can't just throw stormtroopers in something and call it Star Wars. Like, I hate to break it to you, but like, no. And honestly, Andor even, I wouldn't even necessarily say that that's about light and dark. I really don't think so. I don't think that that's what that is about. Rogue One, on the other hand, absolutely. And low-key, Michael Giacchino carries that theme of the film. you know, because through his music, he's telling that story, you know, and it's just so, it's a lot more like obvious of who's good, who's not good, right? And it's like the theme of hope is huge, you know, rebellions are built on hope. Like Rogue One is Star Wars, bro. Like that's what I rewatched it recently. I was like, holy shit, I forget how much this really is just Star Wars, and how really they never fucked up with that movie. You know, like, it was just kind of really well done all the way through. Obviously not better than any of George's stuff, but, like, overall, that movie is pretty fucking solid. You know, and that's when, like, you have someone who, like, Gareth Edwards, who gives a shit about Star Wars, you know, and you also have a writer who's really good at writing, Tony Gilroy, working together, right? Then you're gonna have something really cool. But if you have someone who really knows Star Wars and is a shit writer, that's bad. And then you have someone who's like really good writer but doesn't know Star Wars, that's also not great, you know? So it's like you need that balance, and Rogue One does that perfectly. What was my point? Where was I? Something about Andor. Right, Andor doesn't, I was saying it doesn't necessarily have themes of light and dark. I don't think it does. You know, Andor is very, very, very morally gray. And this is where people get confused, is you can have morally gray characters, like, within your story. I think that's okay, necessarily. But at the same time, they can't be center focus. I have to think about this. Like, Qui-Gon, he is the ultimate, like, he does things differently, but I don't think that makes him morally gray. Like, he's not, like, slaughtering people and shit, you know? Like, he was a little deceptive with the Force once when he, you know, used the dice thing and he flirted with Shmi. But, like, I don't think that's morally gray, you know? And that's the one example that people are like, he's morally gray. And then Anakin, bro, is not morally gray. And it's, like, the simple spectrum, you know, of just, like, you're still in the light zone. And then the second he cuts Mace's hand off and kneels, he's Darth Vader. And, I mean, they literally say it. He goes, henceforth, now you shall be known as Darth Vader, right? Like, that's literally in the film. There's no like, oh, he's in the middle right now. It's like, no, he's flipping between light and dark, right? That's his character. He's not fucking gray. Do you see what I'm saying? So, like, people who just don't know Star Wars try to have these, like, snotty ass opinions about it, and I'm like, dude, you don't know what you're talking about. You don't know George's vision, and you don't know the fucking story, so don't argue with me. It's like, it drives me crazy, and people love to argue with me and try to prove me wrong, and they can't. They fucking can't. Right? It's like, I don't know. People don't think fucking critically. It's, like, actually ridiculous. But my point being is, Star Wars is about light and dark. You can't, like, everyone in Andor is so morally gray. It's insane. Look, I love the character of Andor. I love him to death. He's one of my favorite Star Wars characters. But holy shit, is that guy morally gray. He does fucking fucked up shit. You know? And then you have, like, Vel, who's super morally gray. And obviously Luthen Rail, who wanted to have almost had a 5-year-old blow up a whole, like, squad of troops. And then you have, like all these guys who are just, like, even Mon Mothma, she's super deceptive, and, like, secretive, and, like, she's the least morally gray out of anyone in that show, but, like, holy shit. And then you have Saw Gerrera. In my opinion, Saw Gerrera is just fucking evil. I don't think he's a good guy at all. He's a Rido addict who's fucking out of his mind. Like, there is no light and dark in Andor. Zero. There's Rebels versus Empire, but that's a totally different concept. And if you can't distinguish that at this point, like, what? You know, like, all that is people fighting over which government they want. That's it. That's all that could be. So sure, Saw is a rebel, but that doesn't mean he's a good person, right? It's like, you can't add the 2 and 2 together. That doesn't fucking work. So, I wouldn't say Andor's about light and dark. It's not. And then people are always like, well, look at Gorman and look at... Yeah, but they're not beacons of fucking light, these people. They're soldiers. That's the whole point of the show. The whole point of the whole message of the show, at least from what I've gathered, is, be vigilant and don't let shit slide, and rebel when necessary, and do what is absolutely right, no matter the costs. That is the message of Andor. Beautiful messages. I think those are very important, especially the last one, that sometimes you have to do things that are kind of fucked in order to fight for the greater good. That you do sometimes in some scenarios when things are really against you, you just kind of have to, and you have no choice, right? But that's a great message. But again, is that necessarily the themes of Star Wars? No, it's not. So thematically, Andor doesn't align, and consistently, though, this is where it's like split 50-50. Thematically, not even close. Not even an inch close. Like that, it's way, way off the deep end thematically. And I think that's what oh my God, I'm figuring this out. Holy shit. That is what made Andor, I think the season 1 especially, just feel so different. It was literally the themes of the show. That's what it's been. It's not about Ferrix having bricks, or it's not about that. Which, I mean, I understand that argument, but still, that was the biggest issue, was it just didn't have the themes of Star Wars in it. See, and even the Acolyte is not about light and dark. Sure, there's Jedi, there's Sith, but the main fucking character is morally gray. She's not flipping from light and dark. She's like just floaty the whole time. And she never picks a side, right? Like that. And they're pushing that on you. They're saying, it was that whole like DEI gay ass fucking narrative where they're like, rebel against your oppressors, no matter who they are. And you rule, queen. That was a whole fucking message of that show, that gay ass fucking show. But that ain't light and dark either, son. People are so dumb. Like, they're actually like, they lack brain cells. They're like, oh, Jedi, good. Sith, bad. It's like, that doesn't make the show about light and dark. Then you go to Empire Strikes Back. Here's a perfect example. You have Yoda, who is the living embodiment of the light side, teaching Luke, who's an up-and-coming Jedi, about the Force. And the entire time, bro is spitting. Every line he's spitting. What is he spitting? Don't go to the dark. I feel something. Don't go there. Luke doesn't go there. Right? Don't give in to anger. Don't give in to hate. Luke doesn't go there. Right? He gets close, but he doesn't. That's not being morally gray. Like that's a perfect example. There's a clear, fine line of lightness and darkness. And to be honest with you, that is how things actually are. People who are able to contain themselves enough, not contain themselves, but like control themselves and be able to just let go and feel, you'll see that there are people who are good and there are people who are bad, and that's just how it is. And you have to be able to feel them out as a person. And sometimes the people who look bad are actually good-hearted. They're just fucked up, but they're still good ultimately at heart. And then there's people who look all nice and whatever, but they're bad at heart, right? And then those things can swap. Like, some people will turn bad or turn good, and that's fine. But ultimately, there's always either good or bad in your heart. There's moral gray, I'd say, isn't legit. You know, the only thing I could say, you know, like, messing up, I don't think means morally gray. Like, it's just weird. It's just weird. Like, that moral grayness is a topic for debate among a lot of people, and it's not clearly defined. You know, it's really not. And for me, I'm a Christian, and there is a fine line. You know, how Star Wars is like based on both, you know, Christianity and Buddhism, Hinduism, Taoism, and all of that is light, dark, you know. So that's how, you know, and that's obviously the right way, because it's from God. So that is the way things actually are. So it's like, you know, clearly you look at Darth Vader and what he does and how he just kills people for no reason, and he's like fucking like chops the hand off of his own son, and wants control and wants power. He wants all these things. That is evil. That's bad. There's nothing good about, there's nothing gray about that. Again, conflict doesn't mean morally gray either. Conflict is, I keep jumping and switching. That's conflict. You're like, your thoughts go dark and then they go light. Then they go dark, then they go light. It's like, think, bro. What do you mean morally gray? This is why gray Jedi aren't canon, because that's just not a thing. It's not. People are like, oh, Ahsoka's a gray Jedi. Ahsoka is not a gray Jedi, bro. Like, Ahsoka is a good person. Sure, she's not affiliated with the Jedi Order, but at heart, she's with the light side. That's all she knows. She doesn't even know the dark side. She doesn't know shit about that side of the Force, right? So it's like, what do you mean, gray Jedi? Like, you don't know what you're fucking talking about. And then they're like, oh, Starkiller's a gray Jedi. No, he's not. He fucking switches. He switches from dark to light, bro. Like, what are you talking about? Gray Jedi. You don't know what you're talking about, bro. Admit you don't know what you're talking about. Just once. God, one time. These stuck-up fucking filmmakers need to just admit, I'm wrong. Or say, I need to think about this more. Which is what I did the other day when I had this conversation. Because he made me think about it in a totally different way. Because he made me have to put it in words. And I've just always known off my heart what Star Wars is. But I had to put it in words. I had to describe it. You know, and I didn't have those words yet. So I kept saying things and, like, my points were, like, all over the place. And it's like, no, it's not. Fuck everything. Fuck everything. All you need, light versus dark, a couple of recurring themes in George's films, and you could choose what that is depending on your story, and consistency. You're done. That's fucking it. That is it, bro. You don't need to have Darth Vader in your show to make your show feel like fucking Star Wars. You don't. And see, Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'd say that show actually did the light and dark pretty well. I'd say. I don't think there was grayness a lot in that show. I think it was pretty fucking obvious. But where was the issue? Consistency. Holy hell, I just figured this all out. What the fuck? Yo, this is insane. I figured it out. What the hell? This is so cool. It's on recording. What? And, like, if you need me to explain myself more in detail, I will. I'll give you instances. Just DM me, Saudi Video, Instagram. We can talk. We can, like, you know, try to debate me. I'll probably just destroy you, but you can try. Fuck, that is it, bro. Like, even Mando is not morally gray. Fucking morally gray. Everyone he goes after is a fucking scumbag. And if they're good, he retrieves them and, right, and, like, sends them back, like Frog Lady. He's not, like, being a dick to Frog Lady. The fuck? What do you mean, bro? What do you mean? Morally gray, bro. And then Moff Gideon is a manipulative ass. What the fuck? And all he wants is Grogu for his own power, so he can use him for his own gain, right? Like A plus B, right? Like that's all it is. It's like fear leads to anger, anger leads to hate, hate leads to, right? Like that whole thing, like it's there. It's all just like, that is what it is. And you know what's so funny is now that I've been thinking about this in the back of my head while I've been talking to you guys. Literally, my documentary is 100% about that. And I didn't even do that on, like, I just did, okay, I'm gonna make this about what Star Wars is at its core. So I already knew, what the fuck? It's like, I already knew this. It's so weird how your, like, heart works, and then, like, you translate things from your heart to your brain, and it's like, it's so weird. It's so weird, but, like, that's it, dude. Boom. Boom. I figured it out. You know, it's not like, oh, stormtroopers need to shoot like this, and if they don't shoot like this, it's not Star Wars. Oh, if this character's costume has a different mark on it, it's not Star Wars. Oh, you know, like, that's stupid, you know. And there is some extent to this quote they've had. It's like you're telling tall tales around a campfire, you know, and people are all gonna have their own, like, a version of that, right? But it's like, common sense is still gonna be there, right? Like, someone isn't gonna just, like, fucking flip, you know, and be like, oh, well, everyone says that. Like, no. It's like, no. But my point is, with all of this, with the light and dark, the consistency, all of this, Andor, Rogue One, you can make Star Wars feel very different from anything else. It can feel very unique. You can introduce themes that perhaps haven't been in Star Wars yet, but you always need those foundational things that make the thing Star Wars, right? So that's the thing. And it's like, Andor, Star Wars wise, is more Star Wars than I thought, because it has it never breaks the consistency element. Like, there's no piece of Andor I'm like, oh my, like, what are they doing, bro? Like, no. Like, it's consistent. There's nothing, like, that breaks lore or breaks consistency in that show. There's nothing. Like, try me, bro. Like, there isn't. The only one thing that I was kind of like, I think it's fine, but I'd have to look into it more, is the whole, like, Force monk healer people. And, like, well, I guess that's fine, because they don't just heal things immediately. They're like praying to the Force. Yeah, I think that's fine, because they're not, like, using it. They're praying to the Force and, like, yeah, for their wounds to heal, and then the Force decides whether, yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Because if they just use the, like, use it, what the fuck? Like, who the hell are these people, you know? But, like, they're just, like, they're, like, Chirrut, like, super, super religious to the extent the Force, and they have, like, 0 midichlorians, but the Force aids them because of how insanely religious they are about it. Like, Chirrut's abilities and everything, that's all Force enhanced. But that's fine, right? Because, again, he can't, like, Force push or anything, but it'll enhance, like, basic human abilities, basically, you know, and that makes sense. And George did say anyone can have some piece of the Force with, like, used within themselves. Like, if you're really devout, you can. And that's why in Ahsoka, don't have the problem with the concept of Sabine using the Force or being sensitive to the Force or something. But my issue is the execution. Again, what is that? Consistency. You know, it just happened too fast. You know, and she did at least go through some error where she like, but like, again, you can't go from barely being able to lift a cup to pushing someone across a Star Destroyer, right? Like, that is dumb. So, just something interesting to think about. You know, what is Star Wars? And that's it. And again, well, wouldn't The Last Jedi count? No, because The Last Jedi gets none of that shit correct. The light versus dark. According to The Last Jedi, you need darkness in the world, in the universe, in the galaxy, in order for the Force to be in balance. This is what The Last Jedi says. So it's like, oh, you need evil in the world. What? What kind of fucking message is that? You need evil in the world. And not to mention, zero fucking religion says you need evil in the world. That's fucking crazy. Other than, like, Satanism. Like, that's wild. Wild thing to preach to people. And not only that, it's inconsistent as fuck, obviously. Even down to the way the lightsabers sound, like, what the fuck was that? Like, it's like this totally different, I'm like, what happened between movies that made it sound like that? Like, what? I don't know. But again, that's more of like a minor, like I said, campfire thing, but it's always kind of bothered me. And I think it sounds cool. It's just weird that it's the Skywalker saber, because we literally have had that one ignition forever. Then all of a sudden, it's this totally different. It's like, what the fuck? Where did that come from? And, you know, another example of like a little inconsistency that doesn't bother me, well, is like the Vader always having purple lenses thing that Disney loves giving this man purple lenses. And I think it looks sick on him. I don't have an issue with the purple lenses. I have an issue with where it's being used, you know? And it's like, Vader had black lenses in Revenge, and he continued to have black lenses for a while, you know? And then eventually something happens with his helmet where he switches to purple, right? And then by the time we get to Empire, they have to be black again all the way through. But then you go to Outlaws, and he has fucking purple lenses. I'm like, what the fuck? So what, does bro just change his lenses out when he feels... It's like, no, he doesn't. No, he doesn't. And it's like every fucking game, show, movie, he has purple lenses. It's like in Jedi Fallen Order, which is literally like 5 years after Revenge of the Sith, Ankh has purple lenses. He would not have purple lenses, dude. Oh my god, why the fuck? It's like genuinely crazy. It's like, you don't even have to research. You just look at fucking pictures on Google. Like, why? Why are you doing this? It's so dumb. It's like, it genuinely infuriates me. Because you know what would have been cool? Is if he had black lenses in Kenobi, and the whole reason he switches to purple in Rebels is because his helmet got slashed open and destroyed. So he got like a new helmet, basically, by the time we got to Rebels. That would have made sense. And then by the time he cut the Rebels helmet, I'd say was less damaged than the Kenobi helmet. It was very much just a slash, and that's a lot more repairable. But in Kenobi, like, it gets pretty much ripped in half, you know? So, like, I mean, even if you compare the two, like, I think, you know, so then he'd just repair that side or whatever. But yeah, like, I don't think bro has purple lenses in Kenobi. I think that's weird, you know, but that's like an example of a small inconsistency. But again, that's like a campfire thing where people's like, I don't know if he had this or that, right? And I'm okay, it's like, whatever. But the one that really bothered me was in Outlaws, because that legit made no sense. I was like, yo, what are you doing, bro? And then even in Rise of Skywalker, the whole, like, light speed skipping thing, I'm like, do you know how dumb that is? Like, basically, to explain hyperspace to you, there's lanes. It's like the freeway in Star Wars. Except that you're moving so fast you can't see anything else around you, obviously. But there's lanes you have to take. Or else you will just die like that. You'll, like, run into something and not even know you'll just be dead. You'll just be talking to God. Or burning in hell. You know, like just like that. You know, like, that's basically how that works. And these motherfuckers are skipping across lanes like it's fucking Star Tours or something. And it's like, this ain't Star Tours. It's an in-universe thing. You can't do that. It's like, you cannot Star Tours around in the actual... It's like, oh my God, what are you doing? And it's like, I'm like, how have these guys not just run into anything? And not only that, how is their engine not fucking combusted? Do you know how much stress you're putting on the hyperdrive if you're skipping around? Like Han would be rolling in his grave. Rolling in his grave if he heard Rey was light speed skipping in his fucking ship. Like, that is the most diabolical shit ever. And not to mention, TIE fighters got hyperdrives, which is fine, but they were light speed skipping. Their hyperdrives are this, and the Falcon hyperdrives are this. How are you gonna light speed skip in a fucking TIE fighter? What are you talking about? What are you talking about? Light speed skipping in a TIE fighter, dog. You can't do that. You cannot do that. Like, it's just, like, Star Wars has its own science. Then there's all the, well, ships wouldn't fly like this in space, or you wouldn't hear explosions in space. Otherworldly, bro. Otherworldly. It's not gonna have the same science as Earth, or else that would be in our universe and worldly. It's not worldly, bro. So don't tell me, why does Star Wars have explosions in space? And why it's like, it's not on Earth. It has nothing to do with us. So then what did George do instead? He created an entire other science with the EU authors for Star Wars. And again, that is included in consistency, you know? So it's like, yeah, and I guess for my whole thesis statement, Star Wars is a tale about light and dark that feels otherworldly and is consistent with George's set rules for elements in the brand. That's what Star Wars is. Boom, done. I forgot the other word. I knew there was something. I'm like, oh, there's something I'm missing. That's it. But yeah, obviously, I assumed automatically. I'm like, otherworldly Star Wars, obviously, you know. But yeah, that's an example where I was just like, even as a kid, I remember watching that and going, what the hell? You know, I was like, that's just like so weird. Or even the whole fucking Holdo ripping through all those stars. I'm like, that doesn't work. It doesn't. It doesn't, dude. Like, what are you thinking? It's not a fucking knife. Like, what? It's like so dumb, dude. It's so fucking dumb. Like, so the other Star Destroyers take one hit to break apart, but Holdo's ship, that ship can withstand like 8 fucking stars. It's like, what are you talking about, dude? So dumb. Like, they really don't know what they're talking about. No one knows what they're talking about. That's what I've learned is, like, there are so few people who genuinely have a concept of what Star Wars is. It's actually terrifying. And like, even people who are quote unquote fans don't know what Star Wars is. There's even people who claim they're big fans. They don't even know what Star Wars is. They're just like, oh, Darth Vader, yeah, Darth Vader. It's like, obviously, if Vader's in something, it's gonna make it feel pretty Star Warsy, but ultimately, that's not what defines something as Star Wars. So it's just a very interesting ordeal to me to witness idiots and constantly prove them wrong at every inch and turn, to the point where they literally never talk to me about Star Wars again because I fucking embarrassed them. I embarrassed these fuckers with my immense knowledge of the brand. And it's like, well, have you spent every day since you were 3 years old in Star Wars? No, you haven't. Guess who has? Me. So guess who's probably going to end up being right? Me. The furthest anyone has gone has made me think. But then again, I end up ultimately being right. And I'd admit if I'm wrong, too. I'd admit if I'm wrong. Like when I said I liked Boba and Kenobi and everything, I never said they were George Star Wars. I never said that, but I liked them. I was like, oh, this is good because... And it was really just because I couldn't accept they were fucking horrible. And it was disturbing to me to see shows with that importance be bad. And I just ignored all the bad things about it. I was like, I'm just looking at the good stuff. It's like, no. You can't do that. And then I look back, I'm like, oh yeah, I guess I can't ignore this. I was wrong. So I will admit if I'm wrong, if I'm actually wrong. Like if I say, oh, you know, the Force healer thing in Andor's, it's just fine, it's consistent. And then I learn it's not. I'll tell you guys I messed up. That was not true. But I just know it so well that that's normally not the case. You know, like I'm not one of those people who's like, I have, you know, these quote unquote facts on things when they're really opinions, and just like never change and I never admit I'm wrong. It's like, no. I hope that's not, I mean, it's probably what it sounds like, but that's not really the truth. You know, I admit when I fuck up, but again, that is very, very, very rare for me. And the only times that I've really fucked up is with like legends, like super deep legends, consistency stuff. I don't know as well because I didn't grow up with legends. So like, you know, I haven't, you know, I just recently, I'd say, got into it, you know, in the past like 5 years. What the fuck? What was that? What the hell? Something fucking blew up. What the shit? What the... What was that? Yo. I swear, if I fucking see tomorrow that someone fucking died at this time at night, bro, in my neighborhood. Yo. That could have been a crash. That's what it sounded like, at least. No, it was like... Was that a crash or was that I can't fucking tell. Or maybe both. What the hell? Well, we'll figure that out. Anyways. Yeah, so I just cracked the fucking code. So what is it? Light and dark, otherworldly, consistent with George's rules. Done. And that is not very limiting. You can do so much with that. Really and truly. You can do a lot of different kinds of stories with that. You know, and that's, yeah, you're not very limited. And if that's, you don't like that, then don't be in Star Wars, bro. Like, find some other franchise that has what you're looking for. It's not here. You know, get out. Get out. Get out. Get out. Please. That's my honest reaction. But anyways, thank you for watching. I will investigate what the hell blew up that way. And in the next Sade live, I will perhaps mention that if I ever figure it out. But that's really all. Thank you guys for watching. Leave a like, subscribe, share. See you in the next video. May the force be with you always. Bye-bye.